So over the last year, I can say I have truly been blessed to have achieved and conquered a lot of the goals that I set that I actually thought were once impossible. I actually closed on my own dream home. I have 3 vehicles that I never thought I would ever have the opportunity to obtain. I now have, believe it or not, 4 full-time employees and an amazing team that surrounds me. Spiritually, I've been able to grow and strengthen my relationship with God. I've also been able to stay in one of the most healthiest relationships I've ever been in. Now, it was just a few years ago when my mind couldn't even dream of accomplishing just a 10th of those things. I grew up without money. I grew up lacking confidence. I grew up doubting myself. And most importantly, I feared the one thing most, and I feared failure. I was in a state of, I can't do this. This is not possible. This is hard and I'm not good enough. But slowly over time, I decided to change my thoughts and went from, I can't do this to maybe actually one day I can. Now I can confidently say at this time, I am in a state of, I will do this. I will accomplish this. I will achieve the dreams I set out. So to crack the code on overcoming the one thing in order to get rich, we have to answer the question on how I was able to go from no, I cannot to maybe I can to eventually I can, I will, and I'm going to. It's really what I consider the one factor that broke me out of the chains that I can continue to see a lot of people still struggling with. So here are the 4 crucial elements that we're gonna go over in this video. Starting with affirmations, visualizing, knowing your why, and eventually taking action. Before starting this video, I do need to preface this by saying it doesn't matter how young or old you are. It doesn't matter where in the world you're living. This will apply to every single person who may not be happy with where they are currently in this life. So just like riding a bike for the very first time, a lot of people are gonna need training wheels, and it's how I see life. Our mind has been conditioned to tell us for whatever reason that you can't and you won't be able to do what you want. This is why I believe there's such a huge gap between the lifestyles of the poor and the rich, or while there are some people who are working just as hard or even harder than the CEO who's making millions of dollars every single year versus the janitor who can barely make $30,000, $40,000 a year. On one hand, you have someone who's broken free from the chains of fearing failure and the limitations of the mind and the demons saying that you can't do these certain things. But on the other hand, you have someone who's always convinced themselves that they cannot do these things, that it's not possible, and that it's just not cut out for them. Look, let me tell you this, even if your mind says you can't, there's power in speaking things into existence, which is so powerful, where if you're in a position where even your mind can't tell you that you can speak those words and eventually even convince your mind the other way around. This is one of the reasons why I practice being intentional and careful about every word I say. Now, this isn't just because of the fact that, social media technology, there's ears that are always listening near us, but it's also because what we say can easily manifest into how we feel. Think of it also like this. Your words are almost like the exhaust fumes of a car engine. The car engine is going to be our brain. It's where all of our thoughts gather, and if all that comes out of our mouth are the fumes and the exhaust is just unhealthy, negative things, you're gonna know that there's a root cause of a problem here in your head. If it's not healthy, positive, or out of a good heart, I try my best to think before speaking. And although I'm not always the best at it, because as humans, we deal with a lot of emotions, this here is the start. So truly be mindful about what you speak into existence. Do you find that, you're complaining a lot? Are you envious of other people? Do you gossip a lot when you get together with friends? Or are you constantly a victim where people are always out to get you? The list of all these negative things go on and on and on. And even more than that, I'm noticing these days, there's a lot of people who talk down on themselves. It can go from how much you hate what a certain part of your body looks like, or how much you hate your skin, or even the double chin that only you can notice but no one else can't. There are a lot of people that I notice constantly complaining. So try to speak positive and uplifting words about yourself and others. And by doing this, it's the start for you to break free from the thoughts and negativity by changing what comes out. And from that, you cycle on what may go in. So ladies and gents, this is so important here. Our minds are gonna be probably our worst enemies. It's gonna have a lot of those negative thoughts in the beginning, and it still will, even at a certain point. That's just what we have to live with in this life. But it's important to often reassure and tell yourself more than anyone that it's gonna be okay. Giving yourself these things called affirmations is a start. You start changing the way that you think. And ultimately, after you're able to do this, which is a daily journey, you can start moving over into visualizing. Now, one of my favorite things to ask someone when I meet a new person is what their dreams and their goals are. And it's always fascinating to me when I ask someone that and they have no idea. Back when I first started this whole entrepreneurial journey, before I even knew that I was capable of doing what I've been able to do, I looked on Google. I actually did something pretty ridiculous back then, but it looks like it's more common now. But I went on Google, I typed in $100,000 bank account. I took a screenshot of that. I put it in my bedroom above my bed. So whenever I woke up, I saw this screenshot of someone's bank account. It wasn't mine, of $100,000. More than that, I even had my phone background of just the dream life I wanted to live. I would go on Canva and I would organize like the dream vacation. I would organize the dream car, the dream apartment. I would get a firm understanding of what my dreams and goals were. I would bookmark it. I would have it visualized and I would watch it, look at it, study it, and see it as often as possible. A lot of people want to be rich, but they can't even define what rich means. Does this mean that you just have $1 million in cash in your bank account? Or do you own multiple properties? Or do you find that being rich is not even just a monetary thing? Being rich is having a lot of friends, having good community, having no worries or no stress or even no debt. Is that your definition of being rich? I also realized that a lot of people tend to set goals, but they don't know the true intention on why. Why do you want to make a load of money? Why do you want to buy your dream car? Why do you want to have that big house? Is it for yourself? Is it for your family? Is it for you to show off to people that you've always thought were doubting on you? For me, I always understood that I wanted to get rich because of my family. I wanted to supply and make sure that they were taken care of, that they wouldn't have to work hard. And even now, this is still something I'm struggling with, because at a certain point when I thought I was able to hit those dreams, I had to ask myself, what do I want to have after that? So after being able to change your mindset, after overcoming these fears and having a visualization of what you want, you need to take action. If you're someone who's been able to tell yourself like, hey, I want to make this much per year, you need to reverse engineer the process of being able to do that. A lot of people say they want to be a millionaire, but do you know actually how much money you need to make? How much is that going to be a month? How much do you need to make every single day? As an example, if you do want to make $1 million in a single year, pre-tax, you're going to have to make at least $2,740 a day. Now, even in me just saying that one part and giving you these numbers like $2,740, some of you have already gone to the point where you toss that out. You got to stage one again where you're like, okay, that is impossible. That is never going to be me. And it's a lot of those negative thoughts flowing back in. And that's where you have to restart this process. Now, I don't blame you guys, because I was in that situation. If I had told myself 5 years ago that I'd make $1 million in a year, there was just no possible way that I could believe it. So something that I also did a lot was to know when to patiently pull down the bar. So instead of making $1 million a year, I would have been happy making $100,000 a year. What is the breakdown of that? Well, $8,333 a month or $277 a day would lead to over $100,000 pre-tax per year. Now, those numbers seem a bit more reasonable, right? But there are still going to be people who think that's impossible as well. Our brain works in such a logical manner that if I told you, what if you're making $100 from a business or your day job, and then you have a good investment that's making you $100, and then you have a side hustle that's making you $77. Now, the way that I became a multi-millionaire in just a few years, starting from $0, was by hitting small goals. With everything I said in this video, everything is almost like baby steps. You can't just take a huge leap of faith and then do everything all at once and then expect yourself to suddenly be like flowing with money, just going out in the street and people throwing dollars at you. It takes one step at a time. For me back then, I'd learned to first pay off my debts. After that, I told myself, let me try to make $50 a day. That seems like a reasonable number. It seems like anyone could do that. Then I moved it to make $100 a day, then make $1,000 a day. Before you know it, I was able to get momentum and I got confidence from being able to achieve things slow and steady and by just being patient. Here's the secret to becoming rich, which is actually not a secret at all. It's actually right in front of every single person and it's within all of us. Number one, it's learning to overcome fears through positive affirmations and visualizing your goals, and it's a daily battle happening within our minds. It's also understanding your why. What is your purpose on this earth? Do you have something to prove? Do you just want to flex to people because you feel like you never got attention enough? So all of these things are supplemented by good, healthy habits, which is precisely what separates people who are successful versus people who are not. We are living in a world where there is an abundance of too much information. It is not like 20, 30 years ago where you didn't have certain access to tools. We have all the tools, we have all the knowledge completely for free using the internet or even buying like a $10, $15, $20 $100 book online to crack the formula on what others have done to get rich. If there are other smaller things that you battle with, like you have anxiety, there are solutions. Meditate, get a therapist, pray, read the Bible, try to calm yourself. If you lack confidence, go to the gym, spend time with people who are uplifting. I mean, there are a lot of free articles on boosting confidence too, just by doing a quick Google search. I'm also noticing that nowadays, most people get caught up too much in wanting to try too many different things and also getting overwhelmed that they never pick up one thing to start. So take action, try something. Don't try everything all at once. Try something one step at a time, fail, keep failing, and eventually you'll get something right. For me, I knew that eventually I'd be able to hit my one big win. And luckily enough, I was able to hit one big win multiple times throughout the past few years, which has eventually led me to get to where I am now. I also had a lot of failures. For every one big win I had, imagine 100 times I failed. I roll with the punches. I learn to accept failure. And sometimes I'm more excited to fail because after every failure, I know what's knocking on that door is success. So ladies and gents, in order to become rich, you need to overcome the fear of failure, the fear of not trying, the fear of self-doubt. It is these things that are holding you down. Far too often we get caught up in our heads. Please don't. All this stuff is very possible. It is real. If you don't believe me, you can watch some of my older videos and take a look at my story. So ladies and gents, thank you all so much again for watching. If you found any value in this video, be sure to drop a like, share this with someone in your life that you care about, that you also want on the grind train. And on top of that, follow me on Twitter, Instagram if you haven't done so already. Thank you all so much again. In the meantime, I'll see y'all soon. Peace.